A dark angel. I am regarded as a bad person. In fact, bad would be considered somewhat mild, and I have been on the receiving end of epitaphs such as evil, satanic, malevolent, and hell's representative on earth. None of those labels have bothered me in the slightest. Is that because they are true, and I am content to acknowledge what my behaviour amounts to? Well, of course, the concept of good and bad are elastic concepts and are all based upon perception. There is no objective standard of that which is good and that which is bad. It all matters from where you are stood. For me, my behaviours serve a purpose. I am well aware that there are those that frame them as bad, wrong, evil. By the same token, there are things that I do that others describe as helpful, useful, constructive, and empowering. It is a matter of perception. As always, one person's terrorist is another's freedom fighter. What mattered to me most about those labels of evil, satanic, malevolent, etc., was that they were all delivered, coated in emotion, dripping with fuel, and the person hurling what they perceived as an insult at me was doing quite the contrary. They thought that they were striking me down, belittling me, and hurting me, when they were just giving me what I wanted. True, their behaviour amounted to challenge fuel, and therefore there was a threat to control because of the perception used by those words, and therefore one had to deal with that threat to control and nullify it, which was simply done. However, fuel was provided to me, and this made me all the more powerful. But those individuals were not to know that, were they? Very, very few people actually understand why our kind behave as we do. Oh, those who have the misfortune, their world, to entangle with my kind know all about the way that we behave. They will sit you down and spend all day cataloguing every despicable deed, every aggressive act, and all those malicious moments, as if they were reading from a diary. That is how etched upon people's minds we become, how we infect their hearts and poison their souls. I know this because I know what I do. I know this because you show me how it affects you. And you certainly do plenty of telling me, as well as anybody else who will listen. Because that is how embedded we become. We appear coruscating and shining, and then we maim, cripple, and injure. You know better than anybody else how it affects you, but to begin with, you do not understand. How could you? You had no idea what you were dealing with. We don't appear with the letter N branded on our foreheads as a warning, although, even if we did, some people would still fall prey to us. You do not know what has wrapped its tendrils around you, and at that early juncture you cannot be expected to know. It isn't your fault, although, of course, our kind will spend all of the devaluation beyond telling you that it is your fault, because we have to, because that is part of asserting control over you. Our kind maintain that everything is your fault. We are programmed to think, nothing else. Yet I am worse. I know that in certain instances it is not your fault, but recognize that the maintenance of blame is key to the upholding of control over you and achieving my aims, and therefore if you've got in the way, then you must be removed. It is necessary for the continuance of my dominance, and therefore I will readily apply that which I know to be false in order to achieve that which must be achieved, because I simply do not care. I am without conscience. I am without remorse. Again, you would not know this, and whether you have become entangled with the lesser narcissist, the mid-range, the greater or the ultra, you become ensconced in trying to make us see, make us understand and achieve some kind of breakthrough. You cannot do so. The lesser narcissist is simply not programmed to accept it. You are, in effect, trying to put a video cassette in a Blu-ray player. It will not operate. The mid-range narcissist must always apply fault, even when they know that something they have done is perceived by you as wrong, because it provides the narcissist with a defense, an explanation, an excuse, a reason, all of which is to avoid accountability and thus avoid being controlled. The greater and the ultra of our kind understand what you are saying, and we know that from your perception you are right, but we cannot accept it, because that would affect our control, and we must maintain control over you. Those you turn to for assistance do not understand either. Well-meaning family and friends struggle enormously to grasp what has happened. This is because they cannot comprehend that someone can actually behave that way, and it becomes easier often to think that you are the one with the problem, that you are overtired, stressed. Of course you are, because you've been made that way by the narcissist. That you are imagining things, being oversensitive, seeing things that aren't there, reading too much into it, misremembering and so forth. These individuals do not want to become involved, because that means trying to fathom it out, and it is simply too difficult. They will take the path of least resistance. It also means coming up against the facade that has been created by mid-range, greater or ultra narcissists, and it is much easier to keep it intact and point to something else, such as exhaustion, drink, drugs, hysteria, and so on, than grapple with understanding there is such a thing as a narcissist who idealizes and then abuses in the blink of an eye. Even those that do try to understand what you are talking about become jaded with the unrelenting news feed of abhorrent aberrations that you detail on a daily basis. Plus, ultimately, most people are too wrapped up in their own lives. Who would credit it? Selfishness from us and from them is part of the reason why you, as the empathic victim of the narcissist, are kept trapped. Professionals offer some insight in varying degrees, although few have actually experienced it, and it is only those who have done so who can truly relate the full horror and the unrivaled brain-mashing mind-fuckery, soul-destroying rollercoaster ride of being entangled with us. Seeing is truly believing. The absence of truly experiencing what it means to be ensnared by us means the explanations fall victims to conjecture, theory, and speculation. This is where my good job arises. I am what you would describe and come to know as a bad man, but I do a good job, indeed a great job, by conveying to you why we do as we do, why we say as we say, and allowing you to take on board this information and applying it as you see fit. This is not done as an altruistic act, as such a concept is anathema to me. Indeed, there is no such thing as an altruistic narcissist. I have my own agenda and my own aims to achieve as a consequence of this sharing of knowledge. It also appeals to my malevolent outlook by empowering you, those that have suffered with our kind for so long, with the knowledge and tools to fight back. It entertains me and amuses me to think that the provision of my information is causing consternation and mayhem amongst my kind, as you, the empathic victims, become weaponized, that you move on, fight back, and progress. I owe my brethren no loyalty. It is one for one and damn the all. My methods are my methods are my methods. The usual consequence of my actions, however, is that finally you start to gain understanding. You realize what makes us tick. You finally realize that we operate to our own reality and our own logic. You realize that how we see things, and we see things differently to you, because we have a different perspective, and therefore it finally makes sense, even though it does not make sense, if you see what I mean. You grasp that it was an illusion. You understand that it is lie upon lie upon lie. You realize why that was said, why this was done, and why it keeps on continuing. It will still make no sense to you from your perspective, But then you begin to realize why to us it makes sense, and that is why we do it. You understand that it is not about winning the battle, but never fighting the battle to begin with, because the odds will always be in our favor. We make the rules, we choose the rules, we break the rules, and we remove the rules. It takes time for all of this to filter through and click into place, but when it does, well, the effect for you is monumental. The phrases that you've heard so many times take on a completely different meaning. The actions which left you bewildered, hurt, and confused now only hurt. You understand why we want you mired in emotion. It takes you time to plough through that emotional sea, but at least you now realize why you were thrown into it. Myths are dispelled, incorrect assumptions are crushed, and you are given the very thing by which we operate, and by which we succeed. Cool, hard logic. There is much to convey to you, and that is why I have hundreds of videos. Search for them. Many of the topics that you asked for are covered, and I know that there are those of you that ask in the comment section, HG, have you a video about this, or will you do a video about that? Invariably it has been covered. Just spend a little time searching for them with my name and the topic that you're looking for, and you will find them. There is yet more for me to convey to you, more to tell you, more to enlighten you to, so much to detail from how we come into being, what we are trying to achieve, what we are seeking to keep at bay, why we keep doing what we do, why change doesn't happen, why we choose you, why we never let go, and so much more. All of it is provided to you. Some of it is brutal, much of it will hurt, and, of course, it is uncomfortable. But then, haven't you had enough of the sugar-coated crap? Now it is time to swallow the harsh truth, because that is what will ultimately set you free. That, and the application of it to your own circumstances. You must access this information, and you must apply discipline. Responsibility lies with you for its application. Once you become fixed with knowledge that you are dealing with or have dealt with a narcissist, should you continue to do so, responsibility lies with you. To begin with, you had no idea what you were dealing with. You sought answers in the wrong places, and now you have come to the right place to get all of the answers. And now you know that it is your responsibility to implement a no-contact regime, and I shall show you how, and also how to maintain it. I will give you the tools to fight the emotional thinking which tries to pull down your no-contact regime. Of course, you are the one must do it. There is no quick fix. There is no magic potion. There are no magic beans. It is a combination of my world-class information and your dedication and fortitude, recognizing that you have a responsibility to yourself and also those that depend upon you to drive yourself free of the affliction that has cursed you for too long. You must resist the temptations to contact the narcissist, to see what the narcissist is doing, to give the narcissist another chance, to attack the narcissist in some way, for to do so is a breach of no contact and will only result in the sensation of the devil's pitchfork in your side. You have come here and you are now accessing the correct information. Well done. But your work has only just begun. You must apply it. You are responsible to go so, to get out and to stay out. This is what I do in this world. I operate in many others. But all you need to know about me is what I provide to you in this world. I write and record, I detail, I convey, I illuminate. You, of course, can see me as evil, bad, and hellish. That is of no concern to me. By all means, that is your choice. But it is important for you to understand. If you keep listening, keep sharing, keep asking, and keep digesting, you will achieve your desired outcome of freedom. All the errors, mistakes, and failures that you have committed and experienced can now be consigned to history as you embark on a different chapter towards your eventual freedom. No longer will you be hindered by misunderstanding, hampered by confusion, and mired in the wrong answers. For too long, you have been led up the garden path, taken in circles, and made the wrong decisions based upon erroneous understandings. That was because you did not have access to me. I am H.G. Tudor, I am the answers. You might see me as your dark angel, because after all, it takes a wrongdoer to show you that you are doing wrong.